Black Clover Chapter 362, titled Transmission, begins with an outcry from one of its most unlikable characters. As the heavens and earth shook, the king of the Clover Kingdom was absolutely terrified. He wondered what in the world was going on. Regardless of whatever it might be, his first priority was not the safety of the people. Instead, he was only concerned about his own well-being. At this point, certain portions of the kingdom had risen above the rest. A celestial fist chillingly collided with Captain Kaiser's already damaged face. The leader of the Purple Orca Guild suddenly crashed into a nearby building. The culprit was one of Lucius's many perfect clones. His power was simply too much for the kingdom's remaining forces. Kaiser is pretty much the least powerful captain in the country, so him being taken down like this was pretty much the best we could expect from him. If Jack couldn't survive, there's no reason he should. The terrified citizens looked up and were stunned to see the visage of their former Wizard King. More and more of them began to see that Wizard King Julius was the one leading the enemy. Putting two and two together, they realized that the reason he'd been missing was because he was their enemy all along. I'm a bit shocked that the Magic Knights didn't disclose any of this information to the public. Perhaps they feared widespread panic or something, but this was an unavoidable battle at home. It was only a matter of time before the truth of the matter arose. The Magic Knights were trying their best, but the power of the invading armada was simply too great. To many, it appeared as if the world was ending and heaven's judgment had arrived. The morale of the Clover Kingdom's people reached an all-time low as they accepted their fate. Noble or commoner, it didn't matter. Death threatened to claim them all. But to interrupt this would be the sudden magical appearance of Marks. Appearing simultaneously all over the kingdom, he'd call out to the citizens, begging them all to listen closely to his words. Marks recalled the kind-hearted words of the man who'd once so thoroughly believed in him. Wizard King Julius, the man that was now threatening to destroy them all. At the time, Julius expressed to him that information is the most powerful weapon there is. He believed that there may come a time when Marks' communication magic would be more helpful to them than anything else. Knowing that, I'm a bit surprised that Lucius didn't decide to turn Marks into a paladin. It would have been a great way for him to spread his gospel. Speaking to the people, Marks informed them all that the Wizard King's body had been possessed by the enemy. Not only that, it was as they all feared. His power is absolute. He is the most powerful enemy possible. But even then, despite this, there were people risking their lives and fighting with all their strength to save their country. And that wasn't all. Showing the people Yuno's battle against the first of the many clones, Marks proclaimed that Yuno had already defeated the Wizard King once before. Victory wasn't totally impossible. Mimosa then took over the broadcast and was sure that the people were already familiar with the young hero. With her magic looking more powerful and potent than ever before, she proclaimed herself to be a member of the royal family and a member of the Golden Dawn right alongside that man. She would speak of his countless military victories and possession of a four-leaf clover grimoire, then introducing his name to them all, Yuno. Showing him even more, Mimosa let them know that Yuno had been with them since the beginning, that all this time, he had been fighting and growing stronger in pursuit of the Wizard King title. The people now recognized the former #1 rookie. Alongside all the other captains, he was leading the Magic Knights at that very moment, still fighting and still protecting them. Mimosa admitted that several Magic Knights had come to her for healing, yet at the moment, thankfully, not a single citizen had been seriously injured. And thanks to Yuno's magic, all of the Clover Kingdom citizens should have access to even more magical power than usual. She implored them all to use that power to protect themselves and live. And listen, at this point, I don't know what Asta could possibly do to achieve the title of Wizard King, at least ahead of Yuno. This is shaping up to be a legendary moment of ascension for him. How could you ever possibly top a public service announcement like this? Mimosa would tell them that in order to be saved, they also needed to be willing to save others. She was sure that the power to protect and the power to live is stronger than anything else. Remembering Asta's perseverance against Lucifero, she was inspired and told them all not to give up. And this actually seemed to strengthen their resolve. But Mimosa wasn't the only one that had been inspired by Asta. Now calling out to everyone, it was the only magical knight besides Asta that we have been talking about reappearing for ages now. It was Seke. Despite already being damaged, he promised to hold off the enemy, telling them all to run as fast as they could. Thankfully, this man was talking about one of those angel things and not Lucius himself. That would be a death sentence. Seke then summoned all his strength to form his bronze creation magic, Super Seke Magnum Cannonball spell. And sadly, this spell was utterly obliterated in just a single hit. That was a bit embarrassing, but at least he tried his best. With his face on the ground, Seke admitted that he knew becoming strong wouldn't be easy. Despite this, he really had been trying to become stronger. From there, he began to force himself to stand back up. Thinking of Asta during the underworld invasion, he refused to back down. He could still keep going. He could still stand. He could still fight. Just like Asta. And the shot here was pretty similar to Asta's iconic expression during the previous arc. Despite still being a weakling, it's amazing to see Seke trying so hard. Lucius felt as though the people were fooling themselves. The way he saw it, it didn't matter how much they decided to struggle. Ultimately, the results would remain the same. Yuno had a smile on his face now. He was amused by his enemy's confidence. Yuno's ability to smile here, despite being surrounded by several Wizard Kings and already being tired from fighting one, is pretty crazy. Now, I didn't mention this last time, but honestly, Yuno is a lot more savage than I previously imagined. I mean, he killed Lucius without hesitation. Clone or not, it's not like he knew that. Saving Wizard King Julius wasn't even a consideration of his, and I think that's pretty cool. And considering this guy seemed to kill his best friend and brother, I think I can see why redemption might be off the table. We would then be taken away from the Clover Kingdom and brought an incredible distance away. It was time for Asta and Libe's departure. Asta had come to see Ryuya, but wondered where the members of the Ryuzen 7 were. Using the power of his all-seeing eye, Ryuya let Asta know that the members of the Black Bulls should be making the final preparations for the ritual on their side. But just then, something had gone terribly wrong. Vanessa was ready to go, but was swiftly interrupted. A major tremor would be felt by every one of the mages in attendance. Luck and Magna immediately turned their attention to the source. Magna recognized the magic, but feared the reality of their newfound predicament. It was Kira. Thanks to being turned into a paladin by Lucius, he now seeks to pass judgment on these sinners who seek to disturb the New World Order. He was also the first of Lucius's paladins. Kira being placed here is really alarming for a number of reasons. Lucius's precautionary measures had been extensive. He seems to have sent forces to each and every country. We already saw 3 of them be sent to Hino country. They didn't even know Asta would be there, but I doubt Kira is here for that reason. It's more likely that he recognizes the Witch Queen and her forces to be a force worth defeating or converting. The Black Bulls are also an incredibly unpredictable bunch that have all been directly impacted by Asta. And from what we now know about Asta's influence, that is a big problem for Lucius' predictions of the future. This is bound to be an incredibly difficult fight for them. Way back during Asta's Devil Trial, when the Black Bulls interrupted, he instinctively shut down all their abilities simultaneously. The only reason they were able to break free was thanks to Asta's nullifying anti-magic. Without him, scale magic would be very hard to deal with. Not only that, but his scale magic is bound to have been greatly improved by his newfound power. There's also whatever unknown additional purified devil magic he may now have. The Black Bulls also don't have Yami with them here, but they do have their Vice Captain Nock, and I'm still waiting on him to pull up to the Clover Kingdom and fight his brother Morgan. The clash between light and dark siblings, backed by angelic and devilish powers respectively, sounds way too cool. This disruption to Asta's return ritual could result in any sort of terrible complications. This ritual is a combined spell that requires the participation of the 3 greatest witches of all time, Finral, several other witches, and the environment they're in. If Kira can compromise any one of these things, the terms of Asta's return may be changed severely. This man could be sent to the underworld for all we know. We've heard plenty about the place, but even now, in the final arc of the series, it is still a big mystery. To be fair, Lucius has apparently purified all the devils, so maybe it's empty at this point. But I can't be the only one that's still curious. I would love to know what happened to Megecula's magic, or who now has it. Asir Silva still hasn't shown us her secondary power just yet, and that would be pretty fitting, if not totally disrespectful. If Kira realizes what the Black Bulls have in mind, they will be in big trouble. He's the perfect opponent for them all to fight on pretty even terms. But because of all these conditions, only a few will actually be able to actively participate. If he shifts the magic available to any of the mages needed for the ritual, it may become too difficult for them to bring along the Ryuzen 7 members. And because it will require Finral to be familiar with the person he decides to teleport, they'll only have one real shot at getting them all here. In the comments, let us know how you think things will go. As always, I'm Celestial Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.